So welcome to another week of Championship Rugby League with Craig Lingard. Craig, good morning to you. How are you, mate? Well?
I'm very well, mate. Probably licking my wounds a little bit from some of my predictions last week, but I'm sure we'll go into some of them. But other than that, I'm all right.
Well, mate, speaking of predictions, some of the odds, I mean, we'll just quickly dip our toe into Super League because, of course, that is as important in terms of the game as anything in terms of raising the profile. The three teams that came up from the Championship last year, York, Toulouse, of course, both with wins, Bradford pushing Hull FC all the way. As somebody with a vested interest in the Championship, you must have been absolutely over the moon that those three sides have gone up to Super League and attributed themselves well at the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's the start of the season. I guess the teams are still finding their feet, but to see them three teams go up from Championship, I guess it just solidifies the fact that there is room for people to get into get from Championship into Super League and succeed as well. You know, the challenge for all them three teams is doing it consistently, and we know there's going to be games this year where they are going to get bad beats, I would imagine. But it's really, really pleasing and encouraging that the first round of the season, that all three either won or put in a real good performance.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And you know, in terms of, there was a lot of criticism at the start of the season that, you know, the player pool wasn't big enough, that the quality wasn't there. And what I was really pleased with is some of the players. I mean, we know Ollie Ashall-Bott from his Huddersfield days, and he's been at Toulouse now for a few seasons. We know he's got quality. Hingano at York really stood up well in halfback, and we could keep listing players. And I think what it proved was that actually some of these players that have been playing the trade in Championship Rugby League for a couple of seasons, they can make that step up into Super League.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of talent down in the Championship, with either players who've either not had the opportunity or missed the boat first time round when everybody else were getting signed on at scholarship and academy levels, and have just not had that shot, or have maybe not necessarily wanted it because they're working full time and it's a different sort of lifestyle. But when you get given that opportunity with the club that you're with and you get promoted into Super League and there's an opportunity there to have a bit of a tilt at full time, then some people are going to take it. And I just think there is a lot of people out there in the Championship that could step up to Super League. You know, there's a number of people across the years that we've talked about, you know, particularly somebody like a Dane Manning, who's been in and around the Championship and been a top performer for the Championship for a hell of a number of years. And it's, you know, just, I'm mentioning Dane there because, one, I've worked with him, but two, it's his 400th career appearance this weekend, which shows how significant a contribution he's made to the Championship Rugby League. But one appearance for Dane Manning in Super League, and somebody like Dane, given the opportunity, could have made so many more.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. It was a fantastic start to the Betfred Super League, and hopefully that level of competition can continue. Big game to lose Castleford.
Yeah, massive, mate. It's massive. And I think we're seeing already, you know, Bradford have lost a couple of people, long-term injuries. Castleford lost Taft to a long-term injury that's missing for the season. So I think that's going to be a key as well for some of these teams that have gone up, is their squad depth deep enough? Is it good enough if they are losing people for a significant amount of weeks? Have they got that depth that they can dip into to make sure that these performances they're having week on week are consistent?
Yeah, I mean, Taft's a hammer blow, isn't it, for Castle? We will get to the Championship in a minute, but obviously, you know, whilst you mentioned that, I mean, also Jack Wellsby out as well, and at all levels of the game, it's heartbreaking, isn't it, when, you know, we've revved up for whether it be Super League or Championship seasons, and then, you know, injuries strike to, let's be fair, in both of their cases, box office players. Yeah. It's such a shame, isn't it?
It is massively, and as a coach as well, you know that you're going to get injured during the season, but when you get it in game one of the season-ending injuries as well to some of these players, it's significant. It plays a massive part on the rest of the season that you're going to have. In game one already, you've got some teams maybe looking over the shoulder and scratching heads a little bit to find out what they're going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, enough about Super League. It's got far too much printing on that done already. We're here to talk Championship Rugby League. And we're going to start off, unfortunately, with Barrow Raiders. I mean, this happened in the last 24 hours. I mean, we mentioned it briefly, I think, on Weekly last night with the lads that, you know, Barrow, they've not had a home game for a couple of months, and they've been drawn in the 1895 against London. And they're trying to generate, I think it was $5,000 a red to go and fulfil that fixture. That's took me by surprise. Not heard anything in terms of Barrow, in terms of finances and worries, etc. But with what's happened at Halifax and Featherstone, I think there'll be a few Barrow fans that they'll raise the money, I know, but it's concerning.
It is massively concerning for the sport as a whole, but certainly for Championship Rugby League. And you know, is it a Sheffield thing? I don't know. It just seems to be week on week where the teams that we're due to play. I don't know if it's just a massive coincidence or not. It is a little bit worrying. I don't think I don't think the situation at Barrow, looking from outside in, is as significant as the Featherstone and the Halifax situation. Hopefully, but it is a significant cost for teams when they're drawn in an ad hoc competition and it's a preliminary round all the way from Barrow all the way down to London. And these players are part-time players, and to expect people to do that in one day, you're talking a 24-hour journey if they go there and back in one day. Yeah. But it's a significant cost to put players up in a hotel overnight, feed them, pay for a bus for 2 days, and potentially two drivers on the bus as well to down and give yourself a significant opportunity to try and win the game and progress in the cup competition. So it's one of them things that, do you just suck it up and just try and do it in one day, and that could impact on the players for the game the following week, or do you spend the money that potentially you're going to lose because you might not win that game anyway and get into the next round and potentially progress further in that competition. So it's significant for Barrow, and it's significant for rugby league in general.
It is, but I mean, luckily on the field, a bit better news: a 30-0 win at the weekend at Whitehaven in typical Cumbrian weather. It was an absolute bath. Don't know if it quite rivaled the puddles at Catalan, but no, it was horrendous conditions. Yeah. Of course, top of the table as well. So, like I say, this coming out, but this is the team that currently rides high at the top of the Championship. A brace for both Ryan Johnson and for Matty Costello in this game, really putting Barrow on the front foot. A good win this for them, and they continue on the field to do what is required of them.
Yeah, definitely. I've been massively impressed with Barrow so far this season. I think historically, you look at a Barrow side and you think, they play attractive rugby, they play off-the-cuff rugby, you expect the unexpected. But in the games that they've won so far this season, I've watched every game they've played now, obviously in prep for them this week, and the fields that they've played on, let's say they're not really conducive for fast-flowing free rugby. And the way that they've won the games, they've ground victories out, but they've also put points on the board as well. And they've scored well over 100 points already and conceded only one try in 3 games. So it just shows how well they're playing. They're being very, very mean and tough and physical in defence, but also putting teams to the sword when they get the opportunity and putting points on the board as well. So I've always been impressed by Barrow about what they do and how they go about their business, and they're very, very consistent with the team that they have year in, year out. And there's not too many changes within that, which helps them, as I say, at the start of the following seasons. And both halfbacks, I think Ryan Johnson's potentially one of the best halfbacks in the competition for me. The way that he plays is your typical old school 7. A little bit about him, he's got that sort of Bobby Goulden attitude about him, where he's he likes to get into the muck and nettle side of the game, but he's also got some quality about him as well.
Yeah, and in conditions like that, you're looking to your halfback to marshal your team around the field. And I have to say, I thought Ryan Johnson did a remarkable job at the weekend and just showed what a really good organising half he is. And not just that, he's got an eye for the try line as well. I think a really good all-round performance from him.
Yeah, definitely, and he's got that sort of leadership about him, where he can do the old school halfback thing about getting your team around the field. But the 2 tries that he scored, both sort of ad hoc kicks, and one of them chip over the top, another one little grubber kick through, rebounded pinball style and picked it up and dived over. So he's got everything about his game where he can be sort of straight down the line and marshal the troops, or he's got that little bit of something different as well. So, and that's just Barrow down to a T. Expect the unexpected from them, but also expect a real tough physical battle.
Absolutely. Every time you hear chip over the top, you can't help but think of Steve-O. Do something different. Chip over the top, Eddie. Chip over the top. But yeah, he executed that really well. Also, a first win of the season for Salford in a really, really entertaining game, 29-18. Against Hunslet. Really, really good. Some standout performances in this one. Toby Hughes, Noah Hodkinson as well had really, really good games for Salford. Real good feel-good factor that for those Salford fans to have got that win against Hunslet. And like I say, it was a real ding-dong battle. It went one way and then it went the other. Both teams led for a time in this game, and Salford were buoyed by the fact that they had 5 Wigan loanees in this game. One of them being Sean O'Loughlin's young lad, getting valuable game time. But yeah, all in all, really good win this one for Salford and something they can build on.
Yeah, definitely. And what I got wrong last week, I tipped Hunslet last week, so apologies for Hunslet for that one. No, like I said, we spoke last week, didn't we, about how important it would be for Salford to get that first victory and just have that little bit of confidence to try and propel them or progress their their season this year and their performances this year. When I think realistically, if they get 4, 5, 6 wins this season, it'll be a real successful season for them based on where they've come from, having no squad a couple of weeks before the start of the season. So any points on the board for Salford is massive. And I think you look at the videos, you look at the pictures on social media from the Salford fans celebrating that as well, and that'll give not only the team a lift, but also the fans a lift as well. As much as they're going to support the team all the way through the season, it's difficult when you're losing week in, week out. So just to get that first victory on the board, 1 for the players, 2 for the club, but also 3 mainly for the supporters as well too. So I'll hopefully re-galvanise the supporters to come week in, week out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd tell you what, I mean, they might have been on the losing end, Hunslet, but something I absolutely love, and I know that you will as a coach, is those effort areas, those moments in a game where you go on, lad. And I have to say, Agoro, I don't know if I think it was in this game. Yeah, it was Mo Agoro. Salford broke, and for all the world, it was a try. For all the world, Joe Hartley races away, and for all the world, it's a try. And Agoro goes coast to coast to get there and to prevent a try. And for me, those for me are moments of games that I love. It might not be a try, but that level of effort where you've got a winger on one side who covers right across the field to chop down somebody before the try line. For me, they're as special at times from a coach, probably even more so than a try. Real try saver, real moment in the game. Loved it.
Yeah, 100%, mate. As a coach, you look at them little areas where there's a decision to make, and there's probably a decision there for Mo to decide, well, am I going to get there? Probably not, but I'll try anyway. He could quite easily sat on his wing and said, well, I'm not going to get there, so I'm not going to bother. But he didn't do that, and it's them split-second decisions that can make a massive difference in the game. Obviously, it didn't have the impact for them that they would have desired for that game, but in another game, that can be a match winner. And it's them little 1% effort areas that a lot of people sometimes, I mean, that's obvious. That is an obvious one, is that where he's cutting across the field. But there's certain stuff that coaches will see consistently that maybe not your ordinary punter on the stands or the terraces will see, whether it's a little push from the inside, a little bit of touch and talk from Mark, or whatever it might be, a little tactile stuff that you try and inbreed into your training sessions, instill into your players that these are the little details that we need to get right, and it's the little details that will get you through the other side in games when you're in that washing machine at times. And once it becomes a natural thing, then that can help you win games. And sometimes it's not really apparent to the people that are watching, but certainly to coaches, you'll recognise, 1, when players do it, but also 2, when players don't do it.
Well, you talk about washing machines, mate. The shirts were dirty, but I'll tell you now, Mo's shirt was Daz white with that one. That was absolutely outstanding defence. Loved every minute of that moment of the game. Brilliant stuff. Rochdale 24, Keighley 10. Keighley went at half-time 4-0, and Rochdale came out with probably a big flea in the rear, running 3 tries in 13 minutes to really put the game to bed and keep their unbeaten start to the season intact. Again, poor conditions in this one, but well under Rochdale. A really good, solid start to that second half and a very tight first half.
Yeah, we spoke last week about, again, this game. We're going to be one of them games that could have gone either way and could have gone down to the last few minutes of the game. A real tight contest, and it proved to be so. Again, really impressed with Rochdale, how they've started the season. Recruited Jack Hansen as well just before the game from Halifax, and he'll no doubt be a real pivotal player for them for the rest of the season in the halfbacks as well. So massively impressive what Rochdale are doing, and I think we play them in a few weeks as well. So I'm hoping they get a couple of defeats before we play them, so they're not riding high.
Yeah, get that confidence shot, absolutely. Yeah. But no, well done to Rochdale. Like I say, really good performance from them in the second half. Some very nice tries as well. Let's move across to the Batley Bulldogs 12, Doncaster 16. Another game that was tight, and here we go again. It happened again. A last-minute try got the win for Doncaster. Watson Boas going in on the 79th minute to take it to 16-12, having been 12 apiece. Good win this for Donna.
Yeah, it's never easy going to Batley. Obviously my years there, I know how difficult it is to go there and for teams to win there. So regardless of how teams play, to go to Mount Pleasant and get a victory in any circumstances is massive. And that's another game, like I said, we're deciding the last minute of the game. Batley, Josh Woods, who were just going for a drop goal, charged down by Tom Holmes, and then he kicks through, gathers the ball, and then they score in the corner. So it could have been a 1-point victory for Batley, but it turned into a victory for Doncaster, and that's what we're seeing in the Championship this year. So many games that are being decided late on and by a score or less, and that's ultimately what we want in competition. We want a real, close physical competition. That's what we're getting at the start of the season.
Absolutely. And speaking of second half performances, same for Midland Hurricanes. Again, tight game with Gould attributing themselves well. It was 10-12 at half time. There was 2 points in at half time. And then second half, the Midland Hurricanes ran out a very comfortable 28-14 win, a really solid second half performance from them. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody at Midland will be pretty pleased with the start they've made, won't they, to the Championship this year? I think it's going quite well for them.
Yeah, I think it is. And they'll be looking at getting stronger as the season goes on and try to build some consistency through the performances and through the results as well, rather than winning one week and losing the next week. But that's a competition that we're in. I think maybe 3 or 4 wins at the end of the season might decide 5, 6, 7 places in the competition, and that's how close the competition is going to be this season. Although I expect the close the competition is going to be, and if they can win these games, like I say, against a Gould team that we're flying high on confidence as well following their previous victories, it's a massive victory, is that. And like I said, any sort of victory this season, 2 points on the board, you're going to take them regardless of what score it is and how you perform.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fairness to Gould, they were right in it until 10 to go. It was 10 to go when I think it stretched out to an 8-point lead for Midland. So it wasn't like it was a comfortable win by any stretch. However, I thought Midland's second half performance was very strong indeed. They did what was required, and they did it really, really well. Moving across to North Wales, and a very comfortable win for North Wales, 48-22. Swinton doing it tough this season. Are you surprised by that? I mean, obviously, we'll give North Wales the raps for what was a great win, but I don't know. I was expecting a bit more from Swinton this year.
No, I think North Wales they've assembled a real good squad, really experienced Championship squad. You look down their team, number of players that have played top end Championship or even Super League over years as well. I think they've got a real strong squad, and they could fly under the radar a little bit. We spoke a little bit about Swinton last week, and I think realistically for them, they've got to look at the small wins. They're not going to be winning massive amount of games this season because of the squad that they've got. They've got a lot of inexperienced people, and I guess we're criticising clubs for spending more money than what they've got and getting themselves into trouble. And I think what Swinton are doing, they're playing the long game, and I think the spectators and the fans might have to understand that, and I'm sure they do. They've got to understand that if you want success, you've got to spend money to bring top quality players in. And at this moment in time, that's not the avenue they're going down. They're going down the avenue of developing these younger players, these inexperienced players. And with that, you get performances that aren't going to be great. You might have 2 or 3 weeks where you're playing really well, but then you might have 3 or 4 games where you're not consistent. And that's what you get with inexperienced players. Finances bring quality players. Finances bring that consistency. So I think it's just going to be one of them seasons for Swinton this year where they've got to focus on the small wins and look longer term rather than just the short term of this season.
Yeah, I mean, it's that bit about youth and the excitement of youth. Maybe I'm overcooking that a little bit, but anyway, great win for North Wales, massive win. They'll be buoyed by that. As too will the Widnes Vikings at 22-10 again. Cumbria, well, me and the missus were down there this weekend. Oh dear me. I mean, talk about rain. You've never seen anything like it. Yeah. Widnes 22, Workington 10. This will make Alan Coleman happy. They would have expected to have gone down there and get the 2 points. They did exactly that, but they had to work for it. It wasn't given to them on a plate. Definitely,
and again, going to Cumbria, a little bit like Batley. If you go to Batley and you get a win, brilliant. It makes no difference whether it's 1 point or 20 points. Exactly the same going to Cumbria. Whether you go up there and you win convincingly or you win by a score or 2, it makes no difference. You're coming back with 2 points in the bag, and Alan Coleman will be delighted about that. Tricky tie going up there. No Workington the previous week against Wigan will have been licking St Helens will have been licking the wounds a little bit, and they'll have been expecting a bit more of a reaction. And I think they got that in that performance as well. But as you say, weather conditions, soft pitch, all that sort of stuff, and the long bus journey up there for up to Cumbria for Widnes, they'll be really pleased coming back with any sort of victory.
Yeah, and then I'm going to say perhaps one that really might surprise you, which was the Newcastle result. I mean, Dewsbury, well done to Dewsbury, 38-28. I mean, they got the money's worth, didn't they? The fans got the money's worth. It was tries galore in this one, but the way Newcastle had started the season, would this go down as, especially being at home as well, this would probably go down as a bit of a shock result this early in the season?
Yeah, 100% for me. And again, another one that I got massively wrong last week. I think I sent Dewsbury up to Newcastle not having a prayer with that one, and they've proved me wrong. And again, similar to how Rochdale started the season, Dewsbury have started the season outstandingly well. 3 wins out of 3, 6 points on the board, and looking up the table. Probably more than what I thought there would be at this stage of the season. But, take my hats off to everybody at Dewsbury for what they're doing there. And going up to Newcastle, as I say, with the squad that they've got, with the connections and the full-time training that they're doing with York, to go up there. And I think they came from behind as well and actually took the game away from Newcastle late on as well. So massive well done to them. And I'm sure Newcastle will be disappointed about losing a home game as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think they will be disappointed with that. I mean, of all the results, I mean, I didn't see that one. I'll be very, very honest, but very surprised when I saw the final score come in. I thought, wow, Craig's going to be falling off his chair with that one. That was most unexpected. Right, let's get into the week that is then. Of course, we'll start with you because, of course, you'll be itching. Your Sheffield lads and yourself will be itching to get back on the field. It's a home fixture. You're playing Barrow. I say they're riding high at the top. This is not going to be easy, Craig. Your thoughts on welcoming Barrow to Sheffield?
Yeah, looking forward to it, man. And it's obviously not been ideal for us with the inconsistency of when we've played this season. We were week 2 off our round off this season as well. And obviously missed last week with the Halifax situation. So we've been week on, week off, which isn't ideal when we're a new team trying to get some game times in there. So it would have been nice to be playing week in, week out and getting these connections and developing together as a group, as I've mentioned previously. But that's not the case. We've not been able to do that, and we've got to play the cards that we've been dealt. But really looking forward to getting out there now. I think we've got a period of a couple of months now where we're playing consistently week in, week out, unless something drastic happens with another team or a weather situation. So it's going to give us an opportunity now to hopefully develop a little bit of consistency in our performance and just playing on a regular basis as well. Even playing on different days. We're playing Saturday this week, we played Friday in the cup game, then we're playing Sunday. So just getting a little bit of consistency in your training and what you do on these training nights and how you can prep players as well. It's been a little bit hit and miss so far this season, but hopefully get a bit more consistency now in our prep and our games.
Yeah, I mean, look, the last 5 games you've played against Barrow, Sheffield have come out winnings on 4 occasions, so that bodes well, doesn't it?
Well, it's a completely different team, isn't it? So we can't look too much in the past. Look, I'll take anything I can get if they're the signs and they're the indicators. We'll take that 80% victory over the last 5 games. We'll hopefully that bodes well for us come Saturday. But we can't win games on past performance. We've got to win games on Saturday, and how we perform on Saturday.
Yeah, you don't do omens then. Fair enough. Fair enough. You're not counting magpies. Fair play. Kieran Gill, should he play? He's too short of his 150th career try.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's too short of his 150th try. So that's one
is that Saturday?
Well,
yeah.
Have a word. Tell him. might motivate him to greater heights. Who knows? Right, Oldham taking on Widnes Vikings this week. Of course, Oldham, again, a team that is doing it tough off the field. Widnes will be buoyed, of course, by that win at the weekend. And these two sitting, 4 points and 2 points respectively in the league table. Your thoughts on this? An old traditional clash, Oldham Widnes?
It is mouth-watering tie. Excuse me. Mouth-watering tie, 2 teams, again, that you expect to be challenging at the top of the table come the end of the season, being right in the mix. And I guess might give us a bit of an early season indicator to see where these teams really are. So early in the season, we've not got that consistency of form and performances yet. So, Widnes will be looking at trying to develop that consistency and get another win, a back-to-back win from last week as well. And obviously, Oldham looking at trying to take some of their points off one of their rivals as well. It's one of them that you can't. I can't call this week. I'm not going to try this week, so I'm not going to upset any supporters by telling them that I think their team will win.
You'd give up predicted. Fair play to you. Jack Horton will make his 150th career appearance if he plays at the weekend. Will Jack, having arrived from the North Wales Crusaders, 128 times he played for North Wales. But always nice to see players getting these milestones, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and we've had a few over the last few years at Sheffield. I've had a couple this year as well, Matty Marsh and Joel Farrell with a 200 and 250th appearance. So it's nice just to see these players who have been around for a long time getting these milestones and getting the days that they deserve, the recognition that they deserve as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We wish him well. We hope he and his family enjoy that occasion should he be selected. I'm sure he will be. Dewsbury Rams taking on the Ghoul Vikings. I mean, Dewsbury buoyed, of course, by what was an incredible win. We've just talked about that. This is going to be a tough test for Ghoul to go to Dewsbury.
It is, yeah. And again, a little bit like the Oldham Widnes game. It's one of them games that you look at and you're going to struggle to predict who's going to win it. You know, with the performances that Goal have had so far this season, also Dewsbury 3 out of 3 in the league. So it's another mouth-watering into another close contest. And I keep saying it could be one that's decided late on, the last minute of the game, like we're seeing week in, week out so far. So yeah, another one I'm not going to predict either.
you got proper splinters this week. You've been proper upset over your predictions last
I have,
week.
mate. Yeah, I've taken my bat and ball home, mate. I'm like that duck you see coming off Test match cricket when he's got a golden duck and it's dragging it back to the pavilion.
Happy, I wouldn't say you got a golden duck. I know you put a couple of points on the board, but not many. Right, Midland. I mean, look, they're going to want to bounce back, but they've got again tough assignment. Another home game for him, so they'll be pleased about that. But they're playing Batley this week, and again, I mean, we've just talked about a 150. Just Dave Manning says, "Hold me beer." Are you ready for this? This is a play that you'll know well. He is going to make, maybe if he's still in your phone, but you might want to just give him a text as well. He's 400th. I'll say that again. 400th career appearance if he plays this weekend. Dave Manning.
Yeah, it's outstanding. The way that he plays the game as well, the position that he plays in the back row, he's 100% in everything that he does, and he's like I said, his commitment to how he puts his body on the line with both the ball in hand and the opposite side of the ball as well defensively. He's just such a key figure in every team that he's played at. You know, he's one of the first names on the team sheet. As an opposition coach and as an opposition player as well, you're looking at that team sheet to see if Dane's on there. And if Dane's not on there, it gives you a little bit of a spring in your step, particularly if you're the back rower or the halfback who Dane's defending opposite, because you know that if you are playing opposite Dane Manning, he's going to come out of that line, he's going to put a shot on you and he's going to whack you. You know, so the way that I said, just a great bloke as well, so professional. I don't miss the days when we're travelling home from a Cumbria trip though, because he's not the greatest of drinker in day. And he takes the cap off the bottle of the beer and he's drunk after about 2 sips, and then
when he smells it,
yeah, he smells it and he's already drunk. He walks down to the front of the bus, steals my glasses off me, and starts slapping me on my bald head. And I don't miss them days at all. But such a great player, Dane, such a great bloke, and I wish him all the best for this week.
Absolutely. It should be a good game as well. I mean, we wrote Midland off. We can't do it this week. We can't write him off. I mean, look, it's great preparation for Midland to go in this. Confidence will be high, no doubt about that whatsoever. And from a Batley perspective as well, I think that, as a coach, when a result happens like that, when you're not a part of it, so Midland doing so well. I'll go as far as to say North Wales Crusaders as well in terms of their win at the weekend. As a coach, when you see, I mean, I know you do your prep anyway, but just when you originally see the scoreline, if you've got them the next week, what does it change your appreciation for where they may actually be? Because that was such a shock last week, a couple of weeks ago, because Midland got a big win, didn't they? Against, was it Dewsbury? A couple of weeks ago. I think it was. I'm sure they did, because I'm sure it was either Dewsbury or Doncaster.
Doncaster.
It was Donny. Yeah. And we weren't expecting that. So in those situations where it's a complete, we weren't expecting Newcastle, was the one I was talking about, where Newcastle get turned over by another team. If you're playing that winning team that have managed to get a really good scalp, as a coach, just talk us through that. Does that change your mindset in terms of where that team is actually at? Or are you already that far down the line in terms of your prep for that game a week in advance that, no, actually, you're not surprised and you know exactly what you're getting?
No, to be fair, it reinforces some of the messages as a coach that you need to give the players, because if they're going into a game looking at a team and thinking, oh, we're going to win this week, or we're highly likely to win this week, actually having a little bit of a poor performance yourself the previous week, or seeing, like you say, a team like a Midlands get that victory against the Doncaster or a Dewsbury against Newcastle, it just reinforces your message to the players to say, look, we need to be on this week. We need to be on in training. We need to be paying attention to the video stuff that we do. We need to be paying attention to the stuff we're doing in training, the actual drills and the session that we're running. You need to be all in on that, because if you turn up half-cocked, you're going to get beat. So it just helps the messages that you're delivering at times. We had it last night in training. We were a little bit off last night in training, and where for me, it were great, because at the end of the session, then I can reinforce to the players, look, if we turn up like this on Sunday, we'll get 30 or 40 points put past against a team that are scoring over 100 points and have conceded one try this season. So we've got another training session before we play on Saturday. So I'm expecting now, when the players come back on Thursday, that their attention to detail, their application is going to be so much better that it just gives us that little bit of a lift. So as a coach, you can use it to your advantage, and it just reinforces some of the messages that you can give to the players. They say, look, we can't take this for granted. We can't switch off, because if we do, then we'll end up getting a result like they got last week.
Brilliant, fantastic insight. Keighley Cougars will be going up against Whitehaven. Matty Beverill, 250th career appearance if he's picked for Keighley Cougars. So can I say some big milestones for some of these players coming up this weekend. Keighley, of course, having lost last week. Home game against Whitehaven, they'll be looking to get back on the horse, I would have thought. Yeah, definitely. I think consistency is the key for Keith. They seem to be another team at this moment in time where they're getting a good result one week and then losing a game the week after. So they'll be looking to try and get some consistency. Whitehaven, they'll see this as a game to get their first victory of the season as well. After we played Whitehaven the first 2 games of the season, League and Cup, and I was really impressed with how they did. But I would imagine the last couple of games that they've played, they've not been particularly impressed with how they've played. So they'll be looking at a bit of a response as well. So again, it could be another game that's really close and could go down to the wire. Well, I mean, absolutely, really, really looking forward to that one. But here's one for you. This is going to, don't fall off your chair when I tell you this now. Just going to look at the last five meetings between Newcastle Thunder and North Wales Crusaders. I think we're probably going to see how far Newcastle have come this weekend, because the aggregate score, this will make you possibly fall off your chair. I couldn't believe it when I saw this. The aggregate score between these two teams in the last 5 meetings is North Wales 306. Newcastle 28. Right. So actually, if you were going on history, you probably would turn up. However, I think the sands have shifted a little bit. I think we're going to see possibly how far Newcastle have come in 2026. I don't see it being such a clear winner like that. Do you? No, I don't think them stats are going to paint a picture about how this game is going to be at the weekend. So I think it's going to be a real good contest with the squad that North Wales have put together. They're on a little bit of form as well. Newcastle, they'll be looking to bounce back and respond from that defeat against Dewsbury last week. And I guess one thing that Newcastle are going to have to contend with week in, week out is the players that they've got access to. They've obviously got the connection with York, and depending on what players York want and what York need, they'll have first choice and first priority over them players. So I think they only announced a 19-man squad last week in Newcastle as well. So that might have a bit of an impact on them, the access to the players that they get week in, week out, because it's not officially their players. So that's something they're going to have to contend with, I would imagine. But I would imagine they'll get a few players back this week. Yeah, I just don't see it being that big a scoreline. No. Something tells me. But I'll tell you, a player that they need to keep an eye on is Josh Eaves. If Josh Eaves plays, he scored tries in the last three meetings against Newcastle. Right. So he's on. And on that topic of that, players, the mentality of players. I don't know if it was the same when you played. There's the old sayings in there that he loves playing against them. And getting into the mindset of a Josh who's on a good 3-game scoring streak against a particular team. From a psychology perspective, do you buy into that when a player has got a great record against a certain team, for whatever reason, things might in that game come a little bit more natural because they believe that in themselves, that they're capable against that side? Yeah, I think so. I think there's a little bit about that. It depends how aware you are of it. Some players are really aware of it. Some players don't pay any attention to it whatsoever. But I guess nowadays, in the modern era, there's a lot more access to these sort of stats than we had previously. I know when I played, I didn't realise, I didn't know until I retired that I'd scored most of my tries against Dewsbury and Sheffield. I think. Yeah, and I would imagine Dewsbury, because I played a lot more against Dewsbury back in them days with the Everwool and Derbies. But Sheffield, I think I scored a couple of hat tricks and a 4-try against Sheffield as well. So whether that's subconscious, because I didn't know about that at the time, whether it's subconscious or not, I don't know. Whether it's just one of them random things that happens. But I certainly think with some players nowadays have got more access to the stats that are out there, and some players will actually remember that they play well against particular teams, and it just gives them that little bit of an extra skip in the step as well. And then finally, Rochdale take on Hunslet. And again, complacent. I'd say the word complacency here. Hunslet haven't had the greatest start to the season this year. Rochdale on an unbeaten run in the Championship. Would complacency be the biggest battle in the dressing room for Rochdale going into this one, or am I being a little bit too harsh on Hunslet?
I don't think complacency will come into it for Rochdale. I think obviously they've had a great start to the season, and I think they're probably doing better than expected for me personally. With the squad that they've got and that they've put together, I think they would have maybe been hoping for trying to have a tilt at that 10th place to get into the latter parts of the playoffs. But the way that they started, the message for them now will be, well, what we've been doing so far has been working, so let's make sure we continue on this same vein. And they'll be seeing this as a victory. They've won 3 out of 3 now, and as you say, Hunslet haven't started particularly too well. So Rochdale will be having this down now as a victory, as a game that they should be winning, because they're the form team. Hunslet not particularly breaking any pots at the minute, but conversely to that, then Kyle Trout will be looking at this game to hopefully get them onto a winning run now and get a bit of consistency for them. So it's from a coach's point of view, again, then whether you're Gary Thornton in the Rochdale dressing room or you're Kyle Trout in the Hunslet dressing room, there's things that you can sort of twist and mould into the messages that you want to give to the players to make sure you try and focus the players as best you possibly can.
Yeah, and Jordan Andrade, I hope I've said that right, for Jordan. He's also on a 3-game scoring streak for Rochdale against Hunslet, which is interesting.
Right.
So,
yeah.
There you go. So there you go. A couple of little things that have pulled out over the course of the last 24 hours. And finally, Swinton Lions will go up against London. That on paper sounds a pretty tough task indeed. London coming up for the Swinton game at 3 o'clock on Sunday. Would you expect the London Broncos to sweep Swinton aside?
Yeah, I would do, mate, to be fair, with the squad that London have got put together, and we've already mentioned about Swinton as well, with maybe some of their goals. And again, it's a difficult one, this for Swinton. Everybody's expecting them to get beaten. I think from a coach's point of view, when you're in that position, you obviously go into every game expecting, or you're prepping a team to win. But realistically, is that going to happen against London? It's a competitive spot, it could do, but percentage-wise, it's probably a very, very low percentage for them. So they've got to look at realistic goals. What can they achieve this week? What targets can they set the players? What is it that they need to achieve this week? So there'll be certain things I would imagine that Wood is doing in training this week that he'll be saying to his players, look, these are 2 or 3 areas that we need to concentrate on this week. If we get them right this week, and then we get them right the week after and develop that consistency in them areas, then we'll start getting better results. I wouldn't expect that result to come this week for Swinton, but they'll be looking at little wins within their camp and within their 80-minute performance this week that they can take into the season moving forward.
We wish Paul Wood well down there for that one. So, yes, at this moment in time, we've got 3 teams that sit top of the Championship, 3 from 3, Barrow, Rochdale, and the Dewsbury Rams. We've also got the London Broncos that are 2 from 2. Of course, they had a bye round, so they've also got a 100% record. Down at the bottom, 4 teams yet to get off the mark: Batley, Swinton, Workington, and Whitehaven. You're just outside those all-important playoff positions at the minute, Craig. Yeah. Potentially, an opportunity maybe to climb the ladder this weekend. When we get together this time next week, will the Sheffield Eagles be sitting in there?
I hope so, mate. We're 100% so far, 1 out of 1. So hopefully we're 100% next week as well.
My apologies. Yeah, I should have said. I just it just didn't feel right saying 1 out of 1. But I get your point.
We're checking it.
I'll take it on the chin. You can't have a bye every week, mate.
No.
But if it was on win percentages,
on win percent, we're 100%.
Yeah, mate. You're top 4, mate. You're top 4. You're on win percentage. You're doing really, really well. What a great conversation in terms of Championship Rugby League. Get yourselves to this game. Oldham and Widnes. That take place at 7:45 this coming Friday at Oldham. Then we've got 2 fixtures on Saturday. Dewsbury Goole, that's a 2 o'clock kickoff. Sheffield and Barrow, get yourself down to Port Craig at 3 o'clock. That one is set to kick off on Saturday. And then Sunday, we've got an early kickoff at 2:30. That's the Midland Batley game. And then the rest are all 3 o'clock. Good old 3 o'clocks on a Sunday. Oh, it takes you back to your childhood, doesn't it? Keighley Cougars, Whitehaven, Newcastle taking on North Wales, Rochdale, Hunslet, and Swinton against London, 3 o'clock this Sunday. Another show has flown by. I hope you're enjoying Championship Rugby League with Craig Lingard. I'm loving a chat with my mate every week, I have to say. On behalf of us both, Craig, hopefully it's a great round 3 for the Championship, and we'll be back to cover it next week, mate.
Yeah, looking forward to it, mate.
It's round 4, what am I about? It's because the league table has got 2s and 3s and all sorts, and I can't keep up. Round 4 of the Championship. We will be back next week for more Championship Rugby League with Craig Lingard. Enjoy your rugby league. There's no greater game in the world, we know that, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.